Okay, 8th graders, we're going to go through lesson 7.2. And in 7.2, we're going to talk about a different way to solve the equations. Okay? So we've been talking about solving systems of equations, and last time we talked about graphing the equations so you can see where they intersect, and then using that point, you know what the x and y values are. Okay? There's another method that we're going to talk about today called the substitution method. Okay? And so like I said at the beginning of class, we're going to do some heavy-duty algebra today. We're going to apply almost everything that you have learned about solving equations up to this point. So, the process is this. When you have two variables, you can substitute an expression for one of the variables in place of that variable. So let's say we know y equals negative 4x plus 8, and we know that y also equals x plus 7. We're given those two equations. Since we know what the expression for y is, if we take that expression, y equals x plus 7, and we put it on the other side of the first equation, we still then have an equal equation. We have two sides that are equal. Okay? Now, for our procedure, in this example, we did not have to do anything to start with. Sometimes what you'll have to do is solve one of the equations. Solve one equation for a variable. Okay, so write that down first. Solve one equation for a variable. Now the equations that are given on this one, in this example, are both already solved for a variable. But if we were to back up and let's say that this said y minus 7 equals x. Okay? And we wanted to solve it for y, then we'd have to solve it and get x plus 7. You know what I mean? So that we could use that y expression. But that's not the case in this example. We already know what y equals. Okay? So, we're going to take the expression, the other side of the equal sign, and we're going to put it into the other equation in place of y.
So can you write that all out?
So you'll go, yep, let's write it out this way. Instead of writing y, we're going to write x plus 7, because y equals x plus 7. Okay? Then, we're going to write this side of the equation down here.
Equals.
So x plus 7 equals negative 4x plus 8. Notice both sides equal y, but we're not writing those because we're going to solve it for and find the value for x. Then we're going to take that value and put it in for x and then find y. Alright, I'll show you what I mean. Let's solve this for x. So that's the second step. It's to substitute the expression. You know what? Which expression did we substitute? Keyshawn? X plus 7 for y. We substituted x plus 7 in for y. Substitute the expression. Okay? Then solve for the variable. Solve for x in this case. So find the value of x. We have to get all the x terms on one side, the number terms on the other side. This is where all of that practice of solving equations comes in. Okay? So what would we need to do? If we add 4x, add 4x to this side. We add 4x and 1x, we have 5x. Right? Well, we have to get rid of the 7 then.
5x equals
So add negative 7. So that only 5x is left on that side. Right? Right, Bailey?
I'm
Okay.
trying to pay attention as much as I possibly can.
I know, I asked you a good question. So if I know you're nodding, then you're following along. Okay? And then that means 5x equals 1. Then divide by 5.
x
X equals 1/5, 0.2. Yep. So x equals 0.2. We can use that, right? 1/5 equals 0.2. The reason that I used 0.2 is that it's a simple decimal that we can use, okay? You might want to keep it as, if it was 2/3, then you'd probably have to keep it as 2/3. Because that's a repeating decimal, right?
Or you just took it from the book.
But 0.2. Now that we know what x is, we can find what y is, correct?
Yeah.
Because if x is 0.2, then 0.2, whoops, I'm writing over that line. Let me make this more clear.
y equals 7.2.
We can put it into an expression for y, 0.2 plus 7, and that tells us what y is, correct? What is y then?
7.2.
Yeah, y equals 7.2. And what is x? 0.2. And so we have an ordered pair. And so the last step is to write the point. 0.2, comma, 7.2. That's the solution
So
to
we
both
do have to
equations.
make it a point.
Yep, you do have to make it a point. Bailey?
So to make it easier, you take so the equations that they give you, it will always give you two equations, right?
Or more, but 2. Yep.
Right. They will always give you two or more equations.
Mhm.
And so you take the one, and so you take one of them, and you put it, and for the first equation that they give you, you take the second one, or however many that you have,
Mhm.
and put it, and replace it for y. And then you solve,
Yep.
and then you have x. And then the second equation acts as the first in the ordered pair, right? Because then you have x for,
Correct.
okay, and then, so then you come up with, okay, yeah.
And then you put that value in to
Right,
find the other one.
and you solve it using the ordered pair.
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. Let's look at another example. This is example 2. So let's go through this one. This is also in the book. Example 2. So 3y plus 2x equals 4, and negative 6x plus y equals negative 7. Now remember, we're going back to our procedure. I said sometimes you're going to have to solve for one of the variables. Are either of these solved for the variables? No, we're going to have to solve one of them for the variable. Which one would be the simplest one to solve for a variable?
3y plus 2x equals 4.
Okay, Christina, do you have a different one? Yeah, because if we just add this over here, that's already solved for y.
Ta-da.
Because we can do that in one step, right? Now, it doesn't matter which variable you solve for, but if we add 6x to this side, doesn't that solve it? Y equals 6x plus negative 7, right?
Is that a 7 or a question mark?
Now, take this and put that in for y. What does this mean? 3y.
3 times 1.
3 times y. Correct. So 3 times 6x plus negative 7
Well, wouldn't it be easier to just
plus 2x equals 4.
wouldn't it just be easier to say 3y plus 2x equals, oh no, 'cause- oh.
Does everyone see what we're doing?
Yes.
Well, where was the y?
Like 3.
Yep, and what are we using instead of y?
6x.
The solution for it, right? The expression for it.
That's negative, yeah.
Oh,
We
so
just
that's
put that
what it
in.
means by substitute.
That's what it means, exactly. That's why it's called the substitution method. We're substituting the expression in for y, so we can solve it for x, and then use the value of x to go back and find y. So again, we're using a lot of our algebra here. Here's the distribution property. 18x
20x.
plus negative 21 plus 2x equals 4, right?
So it's all relatively easy, there's just a lot of it.
It's just a lot of steps.
All that.
Correct.
All that equals y.
All that equals y?
Doesn't it?
No,
All that,
not yet.
all of that.
No, we gotta find it and solve it for x. We have to solve it now.
Yes, I
Find
know
the
that.
value of x. Can we add these two?
Yes.
Yeah, like terms. So there's some algebra. Like terms equals 4. Now solve it. Get the x by itself.
That's tiny line?
25.
So 25 is equal to
20.
20x divided by 20. X equals 5/4, right? Or 1 1/4, right? Or 1.25. Okay, so we might have to use one of those.
And then you put 1.25, so y equals
Yep.
6 times 1.25 plus negative 7. See, I
So
am paying
then-
attention.
Let's put that in for x, and we have to solve for y, okay? So we could put it in here,
Wait, which one?
we could put it in anywhere we want. We could put it there, since this is already solved for y. We could write 6 times 1.25 minus 7 and find y.
Wait, don't you have to put plus negative 7, or can you just leave it as?
It doesn't matter.
Okay,
Either
plus
way,
negative 7
I think
or...
you're not the teacher, I didn't ask you.
Yep, does plus negative and
Okay.
minus mean the same?
Pardon me?
Does plus negative and minus mean the same?
Yeah.
Yep. So I can keep the plus negative there,
Okay.
or write minus.
Okay.
Then use your calculator, put that, find the value of that. Isaac, you have your calculator out, what is it?
Y equals 1/2.
Y equals 1/2?
1/2.
So what is our ordered pair then? What is the ordered pair? Yep,
Is
1.25, comma, 0.5.
1,
Yep. And that we have as our solution.
Is this for the flashlight? No.
Any
Those are
questions?
rockets.
Oh!
Any questions?
Mute.
All right.
One question.
In your book, you got good ones to start with. 2 through 16 evens.
How about we do 0 to 0?
Oh.
All.